Are you kidding me right now? Two enormous trucks just tore across my front yard at 3:30 in the morning and pulled into my garage like they owned the place, without even knocking. Apparently, the queen of entitlement next door thinks she has some kind of authority over my property. But she just made the worst mistake of her life, because what she doesn't know is that this garage isn't just some storage space. There's a very specific, very important setup in there, one she's completely clueless about. The neighbors are starting to stir, and when they find out what's really locked inside that garage, she's going to wish she'd never set foot on this street. Tuesday, 3:30 a.m. I'm jolted awake by the roar of diesel engines loud enough to wake the dead. I race to the window and, sure enough, two heavy-duty trucks are plowing through my lawn like it's a construction site. Headlights cut straight through my bedroom blinds like searchlights, and my German Shepherd, Rex, is barking like there's a full-on invasion. And when Rex freaks out, it's never without reason. By sunrise, I step outside, hoping there's some kind of logical explanation. A wrong address, maybe a breakdown. No such luck. What I'm looking at is total insanity. One huge dump truck, plastered with the words Blackwood Gardens, is parked directly in front of my garage like a blockade. The other, a Silverado with a giant Blessed Mom decal, is taking up 4 parking spots. Diesel is leaking onto my freshly sealed driveway. And inside my locked garage, over $50,000 in county sheriff gear, now completely inaccessible. All of this happens right before Deputy Harris's scheduled equipment inspection. Nothing about this feels accidental. It feels like someone set this whole thing up with surgical precision to cause maximum disruption. Then she appears right on cue, strolling out from the oversized house next door. I swear, she's the textbook definition of a Karen. Angled bob haircut, live, laugh, love tank top, Starbucks cup clutched like a trophy. And then she has the nerve to shout, "Emergency parking," like it's a universal excuse. She acts like the entire block belongs to her. I'm a calm man. 28 years as a mechanic taught me that losing your temper doesn't solve problems. But this wasn't public space. This was my garage. "Ma'am, this is private property," I told her, trying to keep my tone steady. "Could you please see I don't need your permission," she snapped. "Rules say I can park wherever I want. I'm reporting your illegal operation." "Illegal operation?" "Lady, I'm storing emergency gear for the county sheriff." But that's when it hit me. She's not asking because she already knows I'd say number. This whole charade only works if I'm caught off guard. She's fishing for conflict, thrives on it. I'm standing dead center in a scheme that's been calculated down to the inch. What most people don't know is that I'm Frank Thompson, a retired Army mechanic, Afghanistan vet, and a widower since cancer took my wife, Linda, 2 years ago. I live off a disability pension and a critical contract with the sheriff's department that allows me to hang on to this house. That contract pays me $800 per month to store police gear in my secured garage, backup radios, emergency supplies, tactical equipment. It's not glamorous, but it saves the county money and keeps emergency response fast and local. I got the contract thanks to my military background and active security clearance. And since I'm a certified mechanic, I also maintain the gear myself. That $800, it covers my mortgage, utilities, and the remainder of Linda's medical bills. Without it, I'd lose everything. Melody Blackwood clearly doesn't care. Deputy Harris checks in twice a week to rotate inventory and inspect the gear. And until this circus rolled in, everything was running smoothly. Then came the hurricane that is Melody. Now, Rex isn't just my pet, he's my service dog, trained to detect PTSD episodes and help ground me when flashbacks from Afghanistan hit. His reaction to Melody was instant and intense, growling the second she moved in. I should have trusted him then, but I assumed she was just another inconsiderate neighbor who'd settled down with time. What I didn't realize was that Melody Blackwood isn't just an annoying neighbor. She's a financially drowning single mom willing to cross criminal lines. She's 42, owns a failing landscaping company with $180,000 in debt, and just received a foreclosure notice. She's got 2 teenage daughters applying to colleges she can't afford and a deadbeat ex-husband who vanished after a disabling accident on an oil rig. No child support, no safety net. For the past few months, She's been studying insurance scams online like she's prepping for finals. She's researched victim profiles, looking for people who are older, isolated, and tied to government programs, people she thinks won't fight back. She found my name in the HOA directory and saw dollar signs. A garage full of government gear equals a potential gold mine. In her mind, that translates to easy money and fast payouts from a county eager to avoid scandal. Her biggest weakness? Arrogance. She's blind to long-term consequences and obsessed with quick fixes. She's transformed her personal disaster into a cold, calculated scheme. Her plan? Park two massive vehicles to obstruct police access, cause delays, create risk, then stage an accident while helping Deputy Harris navigate the mess. She accidentally knocks over a $15,000 radio and photographs everything like she's building a legal case. She's walking around the garage like she's doing me a favor, overly helpful, overly concerned, all while secretly filming everything with a high-end camera tucked away in her oversized handbag. The more she smiles and acts cooperative, the more dangerous the setup feels. She's not just being nosy, she's manufacturing risks that could justify a massive insurance payout, but too many things just don't add up. Somehow, she knows exactly when the county checks are scheduled. Despite the fact that I rotate the times on purpose for security, she's using professional-grade recording gear, not something a person on the edge of financial collapse should be able to afford. And every time she steps near me, Rex, my service dog, goes on full alert. That dog has never been wrong, not once. She's also asking way too many detailed questions. How much each piece of equipment is worth, what kind of insurance coverage I have, how the county handles liability. That's not neighborly curiosity, it's targeted intelligence gathering. When Deputy Harris arrives for his usual inspection and sees her vehicles blocking access, his concern is immediate and serious. "Frank, this situation is becoming dangerous," he says in a low voice. "If this keeps up, the county may have to reevaluate our agreement." That's when it hits me. This isn't just about inconvenience. Melody is actively trying to sabotage the very contract that keeps me afloat. If I lose this arrangement, I lose my house at the one Linda and I spent 30 years working for. That's when I stop being the easygoing neighbor and start thinking like the soldier I used to be. This isn't about bad manners, it's a coordinated effort. She's been watching me, learning my routine, and waiting for just the right moment to execute a very specific plan. Then, a slip-up. As she's fumbling through her purse, a stack of papers spills onto the ground. I glance down and catch sight of my own name on documents I've never seen before. My blood goes cold. That afternoon, I open my mailbox to find something even worse, a suspicious insurance paperwork filed under a company name I've never used, Frank Thompson Equipment Storage LLC. There's a $500,000 commercial liability policy in my name, a broken bar one I never applied for. The signature on the forms is nearly flawless, but it's not mine. Anyone who knows me would see it instantly. She's gone and created a fake business identity using my personal information, forged my signature, and ensured the whole setup as if I were in on it. Her plan is now clear. Stage accidents involving county-owned equipment and cash in on massive claims. While I'm still trying to process the scale of her scam, I overhear her through her kitchen window that evening, talking on the phone. Her voice is excited, even smug. "Tony, everything's lined up perfectly. The old guy has no idea. That gear's worth at least $100,000, and I've got full commercial coverage. We'll trigger the big incident Thursday morning when they show up for their usual check-in. Easiest $200,000 we'll ever split." Then came the part that chilled me to the bone. "If he starts getting suspicious, we know where he walks that dog every morning." Accidents happen to nosy neighbors. Thursday, a staged accident. And if I interfered, I might not live to stop it. The next morning, I did what any trained vet would do when faced with a coordinated threat. I called in backup. Mrs. Eleanor Patterson lives just down the block, a retired county clerk with 4 decades of government experience and a sharp eye for legal deception. "Eleanor," I said when she answered her door, "I've got a serious situation with our new neighbor, and I need someone who knows how these scams work." She didn't hesitate. After reviewing the documents, her face hardened. "Frank, I've processed insurance fraud cases for over 40 years. This is textbook forged paperwork. falsified identities, inflated coverage amounts. This isn't just neighbor drama. You're dealing with organized insurance fraud, potentially at the federal level. She made a call to Sheriff Captain Wilson, walking through every detail and sharing the evidence. The sheriff's office quickly brought in the FBI for monitoring, agreeing to escalate it to federal jurisdiction if needed. Meanwhile, Rex became my frontline defense, sensing my heightened anxiety, offering emotional support, and keeping an unblinking eye on Melody. Every growl, every bark reinforced what I already knew. This woman was dangerous. I didn't survive Afghanistan by being careless, I told Eleanor. Time to apply some battlefield smarts to this suburban circus. By Wednesday morning, Melody made her next move, and it was straight out of the Karen playbook. I asked her politely to move the trucks so Deputy Collins could access the garage safely. What followed was an Olympic-level meltdown. "I know my rights," she screamed, flailing a stack of fake HOA documents obviously printed from some sketchy website. "You're running an illegal business. I want to speak to the manager." Then, like a scene from a bad reality show, she turned her fury toward Deputy Collins, yelling, "I pay your salary, you work for me." The deputy stayed calm, doing his job with quiet professionalism, while she filmed herself screaming in my driveway, trying to create her own twisted version of evidence. She even live-streamed the whole meltdown, tagging it elderly neighbor harassment, though she was clearly the aggressor. 3 views, probably all from burner accounts she made herself. But things escalated fast. She submitted a formal complaint claiming I was violating zoning laws by operating an illegal business. She demanded the HOA terminate my county contract and even threatened a class action lawsuit. Her printed legal research was nothing more than random blog posts. The HOA called an emergency meeting. But I came prepared. I calmly laid out the official paperwork, my legally binding county contract, background checks, and the security clearance that approved my setup. Then I dropped the information that changed everything. "This garage is under official protection from the county," I said. "Tampering with anything stored here isn't just a zoning issue, it's a federal offense." And just like that, the tide began to turn. I placed the official sheriff's department contract on the conference table like it's my ace in the hole, because, frankly, that's exactly what it is. The room falls into stunned silence. Audible gasps echo from neighbors who had no idea I held an official government agreement backed by federal protections. Melody's confident smirk disappears instantly. In less than 10 seconds, she goes from smug and self-assured to pale and stunned at a broken bar, then boiling red with rage. That's the moment she realizes her actions don't just qualify as neighborhood drama, she's been tampering with federal property. And that carries a weight far heavier than she ever anticipated. "Too bad I lease it directly to the county sheriff," I say, finally letting a smile crack through after weeks of stress. Turns out, the government doesn't take kindly to attempted fraud involving federal assets. What happened next surprised even me. I'd expected conflict, neighbors picking sides, lines being drawn, but instead, the entire community closed ranks. A broken bar behind me. Mrs. Patterson became our unofficial intel chief. She organized a network of ring cameras and security systems throughout the neighborhood to monitor Melody's every move. We set up a group text thread, tracking her actions in real time, from suspicious deliveries to chaotic meltdowns. We even gave it a name, Operation Karen Watch. Neighbors volunteered for shifts, keeping a watchful eye on our street like clockwork. Local businesses responded just as decisively. Jim Morgan, who owns the hardware store, pulled me aside one day and said, "Frank, you've been honest and respectful for over 15 years. She came in once and screamed at my staff over light bulbs. She's banned permanently." Judy's Brew, the neighborhood cafe copyright, added a new menu item. The Melody, an absurdly complicated order that no barista could possibly make correctly. It became an inside joke. Mike's Auto Repair refused to service her trucks after she berated his mechanics over a delay in repairs, accusing them of discrimination when they couldn't magically fix her problems in minutes. Her social standing collapsed almost overnight. Public encounters became community entertainment. Local teens made Melody bingo cards with her greatest hits. "I know my rights, I'm calling the manager, and you'll all be sorry." Her tantrums turned into daily social media content, with clips of her meltdowns being shared and laughed at by hundreds of locals. Every failure, every staged drama, every live-streamed meltdown added fuel to her growing isolation. Strangely enough, her antics brought the rest of us closer. For the first time in years, the neighborhood felt united, not by geography, but by purpose. Even as chaos brewed, I felt a sense of community that had been missing since Linda passed. It reminded me of something she used to say: when the storm hits, good people grab umbrellas for each other. Mrs. Patterson took things to the next level. She organized full-on neighborhood defense protocols, around-the-clock resident patrols, security camera coverage at every street entrance, direct sheriff communication lines, and daily check-ins for elderly or vulnerable residents. Meanwhile, I began digging deeper into the man behind the curtain. Tony Brennan wasn't some random scammer. He was a seasoned con artist, a former insurance adjuster fired for fabricating claims and tampering with evidence. He ran an organized fraud ring that spanned multiple states: Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, with at least 26 known victims and over $3.2 million in fraudulent payouts. What I didn't know yet was that he was already on the FBI's radar. Turns out, Tony had been under federal surveillance for 18 months as part of a massive insurance fraud investigation. He targeted people like me, elderly, isolated, or contracted with government entities, because they made the perfect scapegoats. His system was chillingly efficient: identity theft, forged businesses, staged accidents, and false injury claims. He had doctors, lawyers, and shady insurance agents in his pocket to grease the wheels. And Melody, she wasn't a mastermind. She was handpicked. Tony found her through foreclosure records and social media posts full of desperation and financial stress. A perfect storm, drowning in debt, abandoned by her ex, angry at the world, and looking for a way out. She never stood a chance. His recruitment strategy was brutal but effective: find someone emotionally vulnerable, promise them a miracle fix, and pull them into a criminal enterprise, one staged accident at a time. Melody never would have gone this far if her life hadn't crumbled first, but that didn't make her any less dangerous. Then came the call that made it all crystal clear. Thursday morning, 9 sharp, Tony said over the phone, "You fall hard. I document the injuries. The county gear gets totaled. Easy 200 grand, clean split." Melody asked what would happen if I got suspicious before then. Tony didn't hesitate. Old vets with PTSD, their word doesn't hold up in court. If he starts making noise, we discredit him permanently, if we have to. I had no idea at the time that Agent Rebecca Walsh, a top-tier FBI investigator specializing in insurance fraud, was listening in on Tony's operations. She'd been gathering evidence for months and just needed one final piece to take the whole ring down. But that night, I found something even more terrifying. When I got home and checked my mail, I noticed fresh muddy footprints on the back porch, ones that hadn't been there an hour earlier. Someone had been inside my house. Tony wasn't waiting for the morning. What had they planted in my home, and how much time did I have left before the plan exploded? If you're watching this, let us know in the comments where you're tuning in from. ABD Stories always loves hearing from viewers around the world. And trust me, Broken Bar, you'll want to stick around for what happens next. Thursday morning, 9 a.m. sharp, Deputy Collins arrives for his scheduled equipment check, completely unaware he's stepping straight into one of the most elaborate insurance fraud setups this town has ever seen. Melody's trucks are parked like tactical barriers. One blocks the main garage entrance, the other creates a dangerous blind spot, forcing the deputy into tight, risky maneuvers around $50,000 in county equipment. And just like clockwork, Melody positions herself in the middle of the chaos, all smiles, playing the helpful neighbor. Melody begins directing traffic with exaggerated concern, carefully maneuvering herself into the perfect spot to become the accidental victim of the day. Meanwhile, I spot Tony hiding in his so-called landscaping van across the street, armed with high-end camera gear, ready to capture every angle of their staged catastrophe. Thanks to Agent Walsh's legal advice from our late-night call, I've got every one of my security cameras positioned just right, within all legal limits, and actively recording. Every word, every move, every suspicious act is being documented on multiple devices. Rex is at my side, calm and alert, his instincts honed over years of service. ready to detect the slightest hint of danger. And just in case things go south and I'm fully expecting they will, the county dispatcher has already been briefed for rapid response. The accident unfolds with painful predictability. Deputy Collins struggles to navigate through Melody's strategically placed roadblocks. You can see the irritation building as he tries to stay professional while being forced into awkward, unsafe movements around high-value gear. Then, just as planned, $20,000 worth of communication equipment tumbles off the tactical cart. Melody, conveniently helping, positions herself exactly where it lands and lets out a dramatic scream as she drops to the ground. Right on cue, Tony jumps out of his van like a fraudster superhero, camera rolling. He starts snapping high-res shots of Melody writhing in agony and the equipment lying in disarray. He's got more gear than a news crew, but this is where their plan starts to crumble. The fall is so laughably staged that even a rookie would raise an eyebrow. Deputy Collins, with over a decade of field experience, instantly spots the setup. Melody's performance is almost cartoonish. She claims to be in unbearable pain, whining about internal bleeding, yet she's breathing normally, standing, and adjusting her shirt when she thinks no one is watching. Tony's sudden appearance at a random residential address? Another huge red flag. My camera's 6 angles in total capture everything. The fall, Melody's positioning, Tony's lurking presence, and every word they exchange. The footage is so clear you can see Tony mouthing instructions to Melody like a criminal stage director. Crystal clear audio even picks up his whispered commands. Rex's behavior says it all. He doesn't react at all. No pacing, no barking, not even a tail twitch. He knows she's faking, and dogs like Rex don't miss when it comes to real distress. Deputy Collins immediately locks down the area. He radios for emergency assistance, secures the scene, and begins gathering statements like the pro he is. He separates Melody and Tony so they can't coordinate their stories, a textbook move in suspected fraud situations. Melody, suddenly realizing this isn't going to plan, ramps up her act. She demands an ambulance, accuses me and the county of negligence, and threatens to sue everyone within a 5-mile radius. Tony keeps trying to prop her up, playing the role of a horrified witness, but the whole thing is so transparent it's embarrassing. Meanwhile, my evidence is airtight. The videos clearly show Melody stepping into the drop zone. The audio captures Tony coaching her through the performance. And Rex, calm and unfazed, is further proof that this emergency is pure fiction. Then the cavalry arrives. Sheriff Captain Wilson pulls up within 15 minutes. His face says it all. He's dealt with this kind of fraud before. He quickly gets to work coordinating next steps. The county's insurance investigator is dispatched immediately, and Internal Affairs initiates a full review for possible damage to county property. But then comes the gut punch. My contract is suspended during the investigation. My stomach drops. That $800 monthly payment is the thread holding my life together. Losing it, even temporarily, means risking the home Linda and I fought so hard to keep. That afternoon, the situation explodes in a way none of us expected. Agent Rebecca Walsh shows up in person with a federal search warrant and news that flips everything on its head. Turns out Tony Brennan isn't just a scammer. He's the ringleader of a multi-state fraud operation that has victimized 32 individuals and racked up over $4.1 million in fraudulent claims. Melody, unfortunately, was his most recent recruit, drawn into an interstate criminal ring that spans 4 states and crosses multiple federal jurisdictions. The evidence I collected, it's the final piece the FBI needed to bring the entire network down. My surveillance footage, recordings, and documentation tie Tony and Melody directly to a federal conspiracy. Now they're facing a laundry list of charges: wire fraud for interstate insurance scams, identity theft for using my personal information to create a fake business, conspiracy to defraud the government, operating an organized criminal enterprise. For Melody, the consequences are staggering. She's given a choice: full cooperation with the feds or a 15 to 25-year sentence and permanent loss of custody over her daughters. She's no longer a neighborhood nuisance. She's part of a federal crime syndicate. Tony, realizing he's about to be caught, panics. He tries to flee the country, booking a last-minute flight to Mexico, but the FBI's been watching. They track him to Dallas-Fort Worth Airport, where he's arrested with $50,000 in cash and multiple fake IDs. My relief is indescribable. The county reinstates my contract within 48 hours and issues a formal commendation for my role in dismantling a high-level fraud network. My security clearance is upgraded, and the sheriff's office expands my role, meaning more financial stability than I've had in years. What started as a nightmare turned into something much more powerful, a victory not just for me, but for every neighbor, every small business, and every honest person who stood up and said, enough. The aftermath is a mix of celebration and disbelief as the scope of the criminal operation becomes fully apparent. Mrs. Patterson, who had been suspicious of Melody from the start, has her vindication moment, and it's priceless. I knew it from day one, she says, eyes wide. That woman had trouble written all over her. Local media coverage erupts. Headlines like Riverside County veteran assists FBI in uncovering major fraud ring dominate regional broadcasts. I become an unexpected local hero, a reluctant one, honestly, and the attention feels strange and overwhelming. I never wanted the spotlight. Melody quickly turns into a viral example of how entitled behavior can spiral into serious crime. Despite everything she did, a part of me actually pities her. She didn't just make bad choices, she lost herself trying to keep up a lie. On social media, #Operation Karen Watch starts trending locally. Her old social media posts become meme material, an internet goldmine for those amused by her fall from grace. And Rex, he gets his own fan page, a hero dog of Riverside County, and honestly, he deserves it. That loyal German Shepherd never once doubted what was real and what wasn't. As Deputy Collins is being taken away in an ambulance for a precautionary checkup, he's fine, just protocol. I notice something chilling. From the back of the FBI vehicle, Tony is smiling. Not the smile of a man who's just been caught red-handed, but the calm, calculated grin of someone who's exactly where he wants to be. My stomach drops hard. That's when it hits me. The entire staged accident wasn't the real goal. The whole elaborate setup, Melody's fall, the phony injury, Tony's flashy camera gear, and it was a smokescreen, a performance. While we were all focused on the chaos they orchestrated, Tony was pulling off something else entirely. But what? Agent Rebecca Walsh's task force debrief brings disturbing clarity. The FBI has been tracking Tony's network for a year and a half. What they've uncovered makes my previous assumptions seem naive. Tony Brennan isn't just some small-time fraudster. He's a high-level operator with a sophisticated nationwide scheme spanning 4 states. The network includes at least 47 known victims and over $4.3 million in confirmed fraudulent insurance claims, often routed through complicit contacts inside the insurance industry itself. Frank's earlier evidence and my own documentation form the linchpin of the case. For the first time since losing Linda, I feel like I've truly made a difference. Every detail I captured, the videos, the audio recordings, the financial trail, the documentation of fake businesses and identity theft, becomes the final evidence the FBI needed. Agent Walsh tells me that without my persistence and meticulous record-keeping, they might never have tied Tony to the broader criminal enterprise. Because I'm now a key witness in a major federal case, the FBI initiates immediate protection protocols. Surveillance is set up around my property, unmarked vehicles, plainclothes agents, and an emergency communication line that connects me directly to federal response in case of retaliation. And retaliation is a real concern. Tony has a documented history of threatening or harming witnesses. Several previous informants have disappeared or died under mysterious circumstances. This isn't a paranoid fantasy, it's a verified risk. Agent Walsh also lays out the legal reality. The FBI cannot directly intervene in every moment of ongoing fraud unless they have enough solid evidence to ensure a conviction. That means, while they can protect me, they still need my cooperation to finish gathering proof from inside the network. Now I'm stuck in a moral and legal balancing act, trying to keep myself safe, protect public assets, support an ongoing federal prosecution, and keep my community from falling victim to more of Tony's lies. Melody, meanwhile, finds herself at a crossroads. Federal prosecutors offer her a grim choice: fully cooperate with investigators, or face 15 to 25 years in federal prison with no chance of keeping custody of her daughters. That moment finally breaks through her defenses. When she meets with prosecutors, her emotion is raw and unfiltered. The first sincere thing I've seen from her through this entire ordeal. She visits her girls at the temporary custody center and tearfully explains that her actions, driven by desperation to keep their family together, may cost her everything. What happens next surprises even me. Melody begins working with the FBI deeply. She agrees to wear a wire during meetings with Tony's other partners. She turns over detailed financial records of money laundering activities. She helps identify additional victims across multiple states. She even testifies about Tony's methods of grooming and training new recruits, exposing just how organized and systematic the operation really is. And her role in the investigation quickly becomes far more dangerous than either of us expected. The situation takes a sharp turn when Tony begins to suspect Melody's betrayal through his criminal network's intelligence sources. Suddenly, she finds herself caught between two deadly forces, facing prosecution from the government and retaliation from dangerous criminals. Her inner conflict becomes unmistakable during our supervised conversations. "I really believed I was protecting our future," she says, her voice trembling. "But all I did was destroy the very things I wanted to save. Maybe it's not too late to make something right out of this mess." Her ex-husband, Dennis, confronts her with a harsh truth. "You have to make a choice, either your criminal ties or your daughters. You can't have both anymore." It stops here. Melody, that ultimatum finally cracks the armor of desperation and greed that led her down this path. Tony's retaliation escalates in ways that even my military background didn't fully prepare me for. His network starts targeting the entire neighborhood, using fear to pressure me into backing out of federal cooperation. Vandalism, intimidation, and orchestrated chaos sweep through the area. Properties are defaced with graffiti, tires are slashed, and mailboxes are destroyed. Anonymous phone threats begin, pets are harmed, and children are followed on their way to school. Then comes the economic warfare: false complaints to employers, attacks on credit scores, and utility service disruptions designed to wear down anyone publicly supporting my involvement with federal agents. But Tony's group gravely underestimates our community. Instead of falling apart, we come together stronger than ever. The HOA holds an emergency meeting, where the entire neighborhood unanimously backs my decision to cooperate with the feds. Neighbors volunteer to help with everything from security patrols to picking up groceries for seniors too scared to leave their homes. Mrs. Patterson steps up with a defense plan that could rival any military protocol: 24/7 neighborhood patrols, a web of security cameras covering every street entrance, a direct communication line with the sheriff's department, daily wellness checks on our most vulnerable residents. Despite my PTSD, I take a leadership role in coordinating these efforts. It reminds me of something Linda always said: "You're meant to fight for something bigger than yourself." Rex becomes more than just my companion, he becomes the neighborhood's emotional anchor, helping kids sleep at night and adults feel just a bit safer. He's now a symbol of defiance and courage. Local businesses rally, too. The hardware store donates security gear. The coffee shop becomes our unofficial HQ. The local mechanic offers free inspections to check for tampering. Tony, now desperate, shifts from financial crimes to something far more lethal. Knowing full well that my testimony could end his freedom forever, he makes plans to eliminate me during a scheduled federal evidence transfer. What makes it more dangerous? He has a source inside the sheriff's office feeding him insider info, including the exact timing of the operation. I take no chances. My preparations are meticulous. Military tactics from Afghanistan, community defense stronger than any unit I served with, and support from Agent Walsh's team of professionals. Melody, in the end, makes her final stand on the right side. She risks everything to warn me. "Frank, listen, he's coming tonight. Tony knows the schedule. He's planning to kill you during the transfer. Leave your house now. Don't trust anyone from the sheriff's office unless Walsh confirms them." Her call sends a chill through my entire body. Then I notice Rex growling at the back door with that unmistakable alert posture. And on the porch, fresh, muddy footprints that weren't there an hour ago. Someone's already been inside. Whatever Tony's people left behind, it's here. And time is running out. At 2 a.m., I watch through my bedroom window as Tony and three armed men approach. Their movements are tactical, not sloppy. This is an elimination mission, not a break-in. Rex stays close, his instincts honed from years of training. Mrs. Patterson is on the line with 911 from her secure home. Agent Walsh's tactical team is en route. The fight that follows is intense. I'm no action movie hero. I use terrain, training, and strategy to delay the attackers until help can arrive. Our community steps up again. Neighbors flip on floodlights, activate car alarms, and cause enough chaos to break the criminals' momentum. Deputy Collins, still recovering from his injury, is the first to arrive via engaging the assailants with a kind of skill that likely saved my life. Minutes later, Agent Walsh's team overwhelms Tony's crew and secures the scene with flawless precision. Melody's last-minute warning likely saved me. Her redemption is real. The failed attack is the final nail in the coffin for Tony's empire. All associates are captured. The entire operation dismantled. 3 months later, we meet again, this time in federal court. Tony tries to negotiate, but the prosecution's case is airtight. RICO charges span 4 states, 47 victims, $4.3 million in verified fraud. My evidence connects the dots of video, audio, financial records, even planning documents. Insurance adjusters are arrested. Medical and legal professionals lose licenses. His money laundering network gets taken apart. Tony is sentenced to 25 years in federal prison, $5 million in restitution, a lifetime ban from the insurance industry, and full asset forfeiture. His accomplices receive 5 to 15 years depending on their cooperation. Melody, unable to afford legal defense, represents herself. Her statement in court is raw and remorseful. She takes full responsibility. No blame shifting. No excuses. She explains her desperation but doesn't justify her actions. Her apology to me and our community is heartfelt. Delivering my victim impact statement is one of the hardest things I've done since Linda's funeral. I speak about the trauma, the danger, the fear, but also about grace. I acknowledge that her warning likely saved my life. The judge considers both the damage she caused and the help she gave. Melody is sentenced to 18 months in prison, reduced from 3 years due to cooperation, followed by 5 years probation, full restitution, and mandatory community service focused on fraud prevention. Her apology doesn't ask for forgiveness, it owns her guilt. Dennis, to his credit, stands by her. He offers to help pay restitution and rebuild their family. Emma and Sophie find stability with the support of our community, reminding me of the values that define small-town America. The neighborhood rebuilds physically and emotionally. Damaged property is repaired. Friendships are stronger. We begin offering fraud prevention workshops for seniors. I take on a reluctant leadership role, helping others avoid falling into the traps we survived. Veterans and county assistance programs benefit from my experience, which I also share with other communities facing similar threats. Mrs. Patterson's expertise has been recognized through consultations on fraud prevention, neighborhood security, and elderly protection, helping others avoid what we endured. Rex, our heroic German Shepherd, gained local celebrity status as Riverside County's hero dog. He received an honorary canine deputy certificate from the Sheriff's Department and certification as a therapy dog for veterans coping with PTSD and trauma. Rex symbolizes how service animals protect and serve communities far beyond individual assistance. New community traditions now commemorate our defense against organized crime. Annual Community Safety Day unites neighbors, law enforcement, and local businesses for security awareness and celebration. Our Neighborhood Watch program became formalized, with county sheriff coordination and professional training. Property values have risen as families seek safer neighborhoods. The financial benefits from my cooperation with federal authorities restored security lost when Linda's medical bills drained our savings. My county contract was extended to 10 years at $1,200 per month, recognizing our partnership's value. The FBI Victim Compensation Fund provided $75,000 to clear remaining debts and establish emergency savings. A book deal for how I caught a federal Karen donates all proceeds to veterans charities, creating ongoing income. One evening, while locking my garage, I found an envelope slipped under the door and no postmark. No return address. Inside was a photo that chilled me. Tony Brennan walking out of federal prison in civilian clothes, with a handwritten note threatening everything we'd built. It read, "Early release for exceptional cooperation with federal authorities." He remembers you very well, Frank. We'll be in touch soon. That familiar chill from Afghanistan returned. Our story wasn't over. 1 year after the trial, I'm more than a survivor. I've become a community advocate and federal crime prevention consultant in ways I never imagined. I've testified before the state legislature on insurance fraud, collaborated with veteran groups on PTSD programs, consulted the FBI on rural crime prevention, and write a monthly security column reaching thousands. Financial security is restored and even improved beyond what Linda and I dreamed during our 30 years together. The FBI Victim Fund wiped out debt and created emergency savings. My county contract extension offers long-term stability. The book deal supports veterans while generating income through speaking engagements. Healing has progressed, with manageable PTSD symptoms fueled by renewed purpose and community connection. Rex's therapy dog certification expands his role to help other veterans, turning grief into meaningful service that honors Linda's memory. A slow-growing, genuine romance with Dr. Judy Kelly, the VA counselor who supported me, offers a second chance at happiness I never expected. I've taken on a leadership role, coordinating neighborhood efforts for elderly protection, security, and veteran advocacy to help others avoid what I faced. Melody's rehabilitation continues through monthly letters showing accountability and not forgiveness, tracking progress, family updates, and restitution payments. Family rebuilding happens as Dennis learns disability advocacy and organizes for disabled rights. Their daughters, Emma and Sophie, support rehabilitation while understanding their mother's mistakes. Family therapy addresses trauma and financial impact, offering hope. Community fundraising, led by Mrs. Patterson, helps cover Melody's mother's medical costs. Approving community support beats criminal shortcuts. Melody's early release after 8 months reflects model behavior. She continues restitution and runs a legitimate landscaping business with community backing. She volunteers in senior fraud prevention workshops, sharing her story to warn others and maintain steady employment despite her record. The community forgiveness process is gradual, requiring consistent positive action to ensure safety while allowing redemption. Federal asset forfeiture auction resolved the nightmare trucks, sold for $59,000. Proceeds went to victim restitution. I ironically bought Melody's landscaping tools at auction for $500. Using them to expand my handyman business for elderly neighbors, donating profits to veterans assistance. Mrs. Patterson and I laughed, knowing those tools would be put to better use. Annual Community Safety Day now celebrates our victory, combining security awareness with neighborhood festivities. Law enforcement demonstrates equipment and protection strategies. I deliver keynote speeches on vigilance and mutual protection. Rex gets unlimited belly rubs from kids who see him as their hero. Mrs. Patterson's Neighborhood Intelligence Network became a model program, consulted by law enforcement for community crime prevention. She teaches quarterly fraud workshops for seniors, with Rex providing therapy support. Young military families are moving in, drawn by our strong bonds and proven security. They participate actively, respecting shared spaces, and their children adore Rex, our community mascot symbolizing transformation. The perfect title payoff brings closure. Melody's story features an FBI training as an example of organized fraud's consequences. Our property was the epicenter of a federal investigation protecting dozens of victims. Melody's entitled behavior caused her downfall. Proving respect for others is fundamental to law and society. My county contract proved the ultimate community safeguard, transforming personal threat into federal justice across 4 states. Sheriff Captain Wilson's routine visits remind me how far we've come, praising the partnership that saved taxpayers millions and secured our neighborhood. Reflecting on Linda's wisdom, she always said I was too suspicious. But recent events taught me I wasn't suspicious enough of the right people. My thoughtful new neighbor's homemade pie symbolizes the positive change in our community. My ultimate lesson: when someone parks a truck without asking, they might not just be rude, they could be fundamentally dishonest. That distinction matters. Rex wags his tail. his mission accomplished, as our community stays strong through vigilance and cooperation, outlasting any individual threat. But as I say goodbye to my neighbor, I spot a surveillance van with tinted windows across the street. It pulls away as I look, and the chill returns. This story may not be over. Who's watching me now? What do they want with the man who took down a major crime ring? Drop a comment and tell your stories what you think. Is Frank being targeted again, or just wisely cautious? Your theories inspire us. Thanks for following this real story of real people, real bad decisions, and real resilience. Like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more from ya stories.